Hi everyone, welcome to this Yin Yoga session on finding your inner energy. So this session has been specifically designed to nourish and circulate your chi, or prana, or life force as some may call it. If your chi is stagnant, so you feel stressed or irritable, this sequence will help you to relax so that your chi can circulate more freely. And if your chi is deficient, so you feel you have low energy, you have a weak voice, you have a lot of colds and problems with digestion, this sequence will actually help you to rebuild your chi. So hop on the mat and join me for this yummy yin yoga session. Take a comfortable seat. You can either sit in cross-legged position like I do, or maybe you want to sit on your shins, maybe with a cushion underneath your sit bones. You can put your hands in your lap or on your knees, whatever you prefer. You can keep your eyes closed or you can keep them lowered in a 45-degree angle to the ground. Make sure that your shoulders are straight and relaxed. Your spine rising up to the air, all the way to the crown of your head. And just take a moment to feel that you're in a specific place, noticing the space around you. Maybe hearing some sounds here and there, or feeling the touch of the air against your body. And come closer to your own body with your attention, noticing that you're sitting with your sit bones on the cushion, your feet and legs on the ground. And the rest of your body rising up from the hips. And ask yourself the question, how does my body feel right now at this moment? Is there a specific sensation that comes up? Maybe you can feel the beating of your heart, or some openness or tension in some parts of your body. Or maybe there's just a general feeling of the body that you notice. Whatever there is, you don't have to ask yourself why this happens, but you simply observe it. And then start noticing the breath as it comes through the nose, the nostrils, into your body. And then starts moving the different body parts like the belly and the chest, with the breath in and the breath out. And just follow this gentle movement, this flow of the breath with your attention. And if your mind wanders away into thoughts or sounds or emotions, just let it happen And the moment that you notice that this is happening, just simply observe it without being angry at yourself or disappointed. Simply observe it, make a mental note out of it, and then slowly come back to observing the breath, the movement of the breath in the body. And then very gently, we're coming to the end of this meditation. You can start moving your body, stretching yourself out, and slowly opening your eyes, letting the world in again. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start standing up for our first pose, which is dangling. Make sure that your feet are on the ground, hip width apart. And first just take the moment to notice that you're standing, feeling the soles of your feet on the ground, on the yoga mat. Then you can gently start to move from the left to the right and the front and the back to really notice the center of your body. So first you move and then you slow down until you naturally arrive in the middle of your body. Then you can slowly start moving down with your body. And if you have a sensitive back or if you're pregnant, you may want to first put your elbows on your knees and stay here in this first variation of the pose. You can put your head down if you want. And if you feel you have the space, you can move further all the way down, folding forward. In the second variation, you can either hold on to opposite elbows with your hands or just drop your hands to the ground. And make sure that your knees are micro bend so that you do not overstretch your knees. Then notice the release in the hips, the spine, and see if you can let go of any tension in the shoulders, the head, and the face, all the muscles there. Really giving into gravity, surrendering to the earth. And if you want to, you can use the breath to guide the inhale to the places where you can feel the tension the most. And with the breath out, you gently release anything that doesn't serve you anymore. Whether it's physical discomfort like tension in your muscles, or whether it's psychological or emotional discomfort. And remember that at any time during the practice, you can come back to a softer variation, like the one with your elbows on the knees. And this pose can be quite challenging at times. We're hanging down with our head. It's not a pose that we do every day. So see if you can observe everything that arises with gentleness and patience towards yourself. And remember that every time we have two choices. Every moment we have two choices. We can either follow our impulse of frustration and anger, or we can take a deep breath Observe the frustration and anger and surrender into it. And we'll take 2 deep breaths in this pose. Breathing through the nose, filling up your lungs, and then slowly sighing out through the mouth. And one more time, really filling up the lungs, and then releasing anything that you no longer need. And gently moving with the hips to the ground into a squat pose. So we're going to put our heels on the ground, but if that's difficult, then maybe you can put a block or a cushion underneath your heels for support. Alternatively, you can just sit on a cushion or a block, especially if you're pregnant or if you have sensitive hips. And if you can reach with your heels on the ground, then you can just take your hands in between your legs. And normally we would push our knees to the sides with more yang yoga practice, but with yin yoga practice we don't push, we just gently release. So we really listen to our body and let our body do whatever it wants. So like you can see, I'm in a very strange pose, but this is exactly how my body wants to go. So see if you can listen to what your body is telling you. You can put your hands down. And you can put your head and your hands down if you want. And you'll feel this pose around the groins, the inner thighs, maybe also your ankles and heels. And if you fold it forward, you'll also feel this in your spine. And so once you've found a comfortable place, the place where you feel your body has its natural edge, where you can feel some stretch, but where you still feel sufficiently comfortable to disengage your muscles. Where you're not struggling too much. You're not trying to force anything or go over your limits, your own boundaries. And again, if you need to, you can always return to a variation that is softer for you, like sitting on a cushion. And we're going to take 3 more breaths in this pose. Taking a deep breath through the nose, filling up your lungs. And then sighing out through the mouth, squeezing out your lungs, everything, all the air that is in the lungs, squeeze it out. Really using this prana or life force to energize us. In daily life, we're not taking so deep breaths normally, even though the breath is really what is comforting us and what is energizing us. One more time. Then you can slowly start wiggling your hands, your feet, and then lifting up your head. And then you can come to lie on the belly. And giving yourself some time to Notice the effects of the pose on your body. And feeling the change happening in your body. The release after you've been in a specific pose for a certain amount of time. And the change that occurs thereafter in your body. The openness, the flow of energy, the vibrations. And we're slowly going to move to the next pose, which is Sphinx. If you have a sensitive back, then just stack your hands on top of each other and put your forehead on top of it. For instance, if you have a hernia, maybe this curve in the back is already sufficient for you. Otherwise, you can move to your elbows in the second variation. Make sure that your elbow is in front of your shoulder in a 90-degree angle. And if you want to have it softer, you put your elbows more to the front. And the more you put them to the back, the stronger the pose. And if you feel you have sufficient space, you can also use a block or a cushion underneath your elbows to make the curve in the back stronger. You can put your forehead on your wrists and hands, or maybe use a block underneath your head for support. And if you feel your shoulders are too tensed, you can also put the cushion underneath your chest. This will support your shoulders. It's a bit of a softer version. And here you can also decide whether you want to put your hands down or maybe to the back. Whatever feels most comfortable to you. Really listen to your own body here. And you'll feel this pose specifically around the lower back. It might feel like a kind of pressure on the lower back. And this may feel a bit uncomfortable or maybe even vulnerable. This is not a position that we do every day. And just trust that this is a very healthy pose for your body. And see if you can slowly disengage the muscles around the lower back, but also the muscles in the buttocks, the legs, the feet. And another variation is the seal. If you really feel you have a lot of space left, you can put your hands on the yoga mat. Push yourself up so that your arms are stretched out, stacked underneath your upper body. And also here, see if you can slowly start disengaging the muscles, giving into gravity. Slowly softening into the ground. And wherever you are, we're going to stay like this for 3 more deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose, this life force and prana, filling it up in our lungs, and then slowly exhaling anything that you no longer need. And after the 3rd breath, you can very slowly move down on the ground on one of your cheeks. with your hands to the back. Again, feeling the effects of the pose on your body. And I would like to invite you to come to all fours on hands and knees. Make sure here that your wrists are aligned with your shoulders and your knees are in line with your hip. And then you can gently put your right foot next to your right hand. Make sure here again that your knee is in line with your ankle, and you can also put some support in front of the left knee. You can put your hands on your knees in this first variation where you are up in dragon. You'll feel some stretch around the hips, the thighs, and maybe the back. In the second variation, you can go down to the ground, maybe on your hands, or if you want to and you feel the space, you can go down on your elbows. And there's an option to move your knee a bit to the side, so that you come to the side of your foot as well. Especially when you go down on your elbows, this may feel more comfortable. Wherever you are, once you found your natural edge of the body, see if you can slowly melt into it. Melting down to the ground, softening the muscles around the target area of the hips, the thighs, the groins, but also around the face, the feet, and the hands. And if you come across discomfort, which may well happen in this pose, it's not an easy pose, dragon. If you come across it, then stay with it, knowing that everything in life passes. You observe it for a couple of breaths. And if after those 3 breaths or 4 breaths, it's still too much, you can always decide to come a bit out of the pose, take another variation, or maybe even come out of the pose completely and lie down on your belly on the mat. And take 3 more deep breaths in this pose, really using the breath as an energizer, using its life force. And when you're ready, you can slowly move back with the hips so that you can stretch out your right leg and then fold over it if you want to with your upper body. Really feeling the stretch around the back of the leg. Then moving to the other side, taking the left foot next to your left hand and to do dragon on the other side. Again, you can use support in front of your right knee, like a cushion or a block. And putting your hands on top of your left knee in this up dragon. But you can also go to the second or the third variation on your hands or your elbows. And once you've found a comfortable pose, see if you can soften into it. Let your body melt down to the ground. And pay attention to your inner world, to the sensations that you're feeling, or the breath, the movement of the breath in the body. And whenever your mind gets distracted, it goes to another place like mental chatter or sounds, and treat it like a little puppy. You would not, if a little puppy runs away, comes back, you would not shout at the puppy. You would be kind to the puppy, because otherwise you can never teach the puppy to do what you want. You should also treat your mind like that. So when you see that you're distracted, just be happy that you noticed it. Be kind and gentle towards yourself, and then slowly come back, so observing either the breath or the sensations of the body. And again, taking 3 more deep breaths in this pose. Then you can slowly move back with the hips, stretching out your left leg, folding forward to feel the stretch around the left leg. And then gently moving into a child pose with your knees next to each other and your hands above your head, stretched out. Giving yourself some time to feel the effects of the pose on your body. Then you can slowly come up to a seated position with your sit bones on your heels and your feet together. If you have sensitive knees, you can maybe pat your knees with a folded blanket. And otherwise, bring your weight forward and tuck your toes under, also your little toes. And if you want to, you can stay on the forearms, on the hands in front of your knees. But if you feel you have the space, you can move back with your weight on the balls of the feet. And don't worry, we're not going to stay like this for a very long time. And see if you can approach this pose, which is quite strong and challenging, with openness and curiosity. And you're observing what is happening in your feet, as if you're meeting your feet for the first time. And I promise, after you come out of the pose, your feet will feel wonderful. We're actually not taking care sufficiently of our feet. They're all the time squeezed into shoes, stringed together. And this is a very good pose to put some acupressure on your feet, to massage them, to take care of them. And know that you can always return to the breath if it becomes too uncomfortable. And you can slowly move out of the pose and start tapping with your feet on the ground, with the front of the foot on the ground, which is really nice. If you want to, you can also stretch out your legs before moving on your back and taking your knees to your chest, embracing them with your hands, and then slowly moving your knees to the side and stretching out your left hand to the left in a 90-degree angle from your body. If you have a gap in between your knees and the floor, then maybe you want to put a cushion underneath your knees for support. And also if you see that there's a gap in between your left shoulder and the ground, you can also put a cushion underneath your knees. And you can either keep your neck straight, looking up to the sky, or moving your head to the left in this full spinal twist, which is great for detoxification. It's as if you're squeezing out a wet towel. Everything that you no longer need is squeezed out of your body. And if you want a stronger variation, then you can put your left leg on top of the right leg in this crossed position with your knees crossed on top of each other. And now just take the time to enjoy this really nice reclining twist. And then you can gently bring your feet back to the middle before moving them to the ground to the left in any variation you want, whether you want to have your knees stacked on top of each other or whether you want them crossed, whether you want to use support underneath your knees or not. It's all up to you. And again, you can stretch out your right hand to the side into a 90-degree angle and moving your head to the right or keeping it straight if you have a sensitive neck. Then you can just look up to the sky. And once you've found a comfortable position, you don't have to do anything anymore. Just enjoy the ride. Then very slowly, we're going to move back to the center. You can embrace your knees again with your hands. Moving to the left and the right with your body to massage your lower back. Maybe even making some circles with your knees. One way and then the other way. And before stretching out your legs on the ground to go into final Savasana with your feet hip-width apart or mat-width apart. Your hands stretch out next to your body and your chin tucked in to elongate your neck. And notice the different body parts that are touching the yoga mat. becoming aware that you're lying on the ground in total relaxation. The only thing you have to do is to slowly allow yourself to surrender into the ground.